There are a lot of really fun things to get good at in Titanfall 2. Aiming your gun, graph star boosting, familiarizing yourself with the maps, strafing, headshots, meat shots, air shots, memorizing how long it takes for a battery to respawn, memorizing the stats of all the different abilities and weapons, memorizing the monologue from the intro cinematic every night before bed. The list goes on. But in my opinion, wait a minute.
Oh god, he's copying Uncle Dane again!
But you know, that Ankle Danes guy had a point. Matchups. Learning how to best utilize your toolkit against your opponent's toolkit can be a lot of fun. Learning your matchups also can be great to discover new tech, and as you'll see throughout this video, I may flip some ideas upside down. Ronin is one of the most interesting titans when it comes to matchups, and hey, I don't want to waste any more of your time. This is how to fight every titan in Titanfall 2 as Ronin and win. Now, before we even really get started, if you're a new Ronin player, there are a lot of things you have to get down, which will boost your effectiveness tenfold. And no, I'm not even kidding. In fact, this Ronin guide I did 2 years ago, throw that pile of stinky poo-poo garbage away. It's already outdated. Starting off, one of the most important things you need to know is crouch tech. Don't worry, this quote-unquote tech is really simple. Basically, you just crouch when you sword block or arc wave. Wow! Okay, Reach, that's cool and all, but how does that help me in any way? Well, another name for crouch tech is the quick swap ability glitch, which as the name implies, basically allows you to use your abilities faster. For Ronin, this tech is game-changing, because now, alongside being able to throw your arc waves faster, you can instantly throw up your sword block. If you get this down into your muscle memory, you can sword block react to pretty much anything in the game, and it also allows you to do stuff like flicker shots a lot more effectively. This tech will also be really important for the matchups, so try to learn it as soon as you can. Next, we got phase boosting. The purpose of this is to basically get one big dash. All you have to do is use a regular dash and then phase dash in quick succession. This will net you a significant boost in distance, and by the way, if you crouch towards the end of the dash, you'll be able to carry more of that speed for just a bit longer. Now, there are actually 3 ways to utilize this tech. First is the aggressive play. While you do end up using a phase dash, which is an important tool, this can get you the edge in finishing off a player who's a bit too far away, just catching up to people in general, and to be able to go for surprise executions. Second, you've got the opposite, where you use the phase boost to get away from a sticky situation. And finally, you've got movement, just general map traversal. Speaking of, this tech allows Ronin to trip!
Ronin TF2, Ronin TF2, Ronin TF2, Ronin TF2.
While spots are few, there are a couple of cheeky and viable spots where Ronin can take the enemy by surprise, such as this pipe on Blackwater and this wall on Boomtown. This actually segments well into my next tip. Learn the maps. Through trial and error, make an effort to remember good dash spots, common staging areas, and good positions. For example, take this match on Boomtown. I'm 1v1ing my friend, and you see these buildings? Well, guess what? You can actually arc wave over them. Little things like that can make all the difference. And oh yeah, don't forget to actually use your mini-map. You can gain a lot of info from just a quick glance. Alright, it's time to rapid fire these tips. Obviously, work on your aim and positioning. While you may not be inclined to aim with Ronin since he has a big fat shotgun, crits are still crits, and you'll deal a significant amount of damage. Good positioning is always trying to put yourself at an advantage in terms of location. Having control of a fight makes all the difference. Practice makes perfect. Don't forget to dash. While sword block is a really awesome and nasty ability, it's still a mitigation ability. You'll still get shot at, you'll still take damage, and you'll still die. Learning how to dodge reliably dodgeable things like tone rockets and scorch shots will make all the difference in conserving your health and staying in the fight. Control your aggression. As appealing as it is to mag dump whenever you get the chance, it can be worth it just to hold up your sword block and to fire away later. Pick your fights, you have the abilities and speed to do so. Now, right out of the gate is what I believe to be one of the funnest matchups in the game, and that is Ion v Ronin. However, if either you or your opponent don't know how to play this matchup, then it can easily turn into a one-sided slaughter. As a Ronin, there's one big thing to look out for, and that's Ion's energy bar. Ion has a very flexible toolkit, but because of that, it comes at the cost of having to manage a resource bar. No energy means that Ion is a sitting duck, both damage-wise and defense-wise. But how do we bait that energy out without completely screwing ourselves over? Well, first is to always apply pressure. You can't be too far away from an Ion, otherwise they're just gonna regenerate their energy and spam their laser shots and shield to keep you in check. Get up close while trying to avoid tripwires, and you can try to bait out all of their abilities while you sword block. And as embarrassing as it is to say, I used to never win my Ion 1v1s because I would always shoot my shotgun shots into the vortex shield, which is no bueno, since that's gonna be a big chunk of your damage lost every time an Ion catches it. But here's a little secret. Just hit him. Hit them with your sword. They can't block that. Yeah, so we've all encountered that one Ronin who does nothing but spam their melee, but I mean, hey, they might have been onto something. The aim of the game here is to mix up the Ion with lead wall and sword swings, because while you're in range, their best option is to try to hold off your lead wall until you have to reload. Meleeing between shots allows you to at least get some guaranteed damage off, and if you go for multiple swings, you can trick an Ion into thinking you're not going to shoot them, but you will, and you'll be able to get some fat meat shots. Arc waves can also be an effective tool to not waste a shotgun shot on destroying a tripwire, or to pierce a vortex shield. Note that if an Ion looks a certain way though with their shield, they can block the arc wave. And that's pretty much the gist of it. However, there's one kit that Ions can equip that can totally ruin this flow, and you might have noticed I've been kind of using it in the background footage, and that's Entangled Energy. So as it turns out, the energy gain still applies to Ronin's crit spot while they're blocking, meaning there are now a billion more opportunities for an Ion to punish you with sufficient energy. Now, you probably won't run into these Ions as much since a lot of people use 0-point tripwire anyways, but if you're wondering why an Ion just seems to have infinite energy whenever you fight one, that'll probably be the reason why. Oh, and you don't have to worry about Ion's laser core unless you're really low, because let's be honest, 9 times out of 10, you can either phase away, block, or just simply run away. Despite being an absolute blast to play, Scorch is a Titan that really struggles in any 1v1, if, you know, you're just the average Joe. And it's no exception here that if you have a decent idea of what you're doing as Ronin, you'll be able to dispatch a Scorch pretty easily, even on his favorite maps like Complex and Crash Site. The key in this 1v1 is to stay in what I like to call the Goldilocks zone. In here, you're neither too far away to engage your Scorch, nor is he going to be able to damage you too effectively. And it's all because he has a single shot weapon, and he's fat! Unless you literally exhaust all of your movement options, a Scorch should never be able to corner you unless you're just not paying attention. As for the engagement itself, it's a little like Ion, but instead of watching for energy, you're watching for Scorch's flame traps, his shield, and most importantly, when he fires his thermite launcher. As his only really consistent source of damage, it's very important you block the direct impact damage or dash at the right time to avoid getting hit entirely. At the end of the day, that damage adds up, it can easily result in you losing. If you keep that in check though, and play around his traps, there's not much a Scorch can do as you shoot and arc wave him to death, albeit the slow process on account of him being a fat boy with 5 bars of health. Now, let's address cores. Flame core is a very easy core to dodge on reaction if you have a phase dash. Therefore, if you think you've taken too much damage and think a flame core is coming, save that phase dash. It's literally so free. As for sword core, you may notice that Scorch has a little something called flame shield. Here, you have 2 options. Option 1, just don't use it. Scorch is a fat boy with his prime zone being in close range, so if you just start swinging blindly, you'll die pretty fast. Option 2, you use the sword core, and you swing at the Scorch. But when he inevitably pulls up his shield, you do the ultimate move of just sitting there and blocking all of it. Sword blocking is already a ridiculous ability with being able to block 70% of damage pre-core. Activate the core, and now that 70% jumps up to 85%. You're basically immortal. The only downside to this aura farming technique is that you're giving Scorch core charge for free, but I mean, hey, it's funny. Depending on who's piloting the Northstar, this matchup will either be one of the easiest, or you'll want to start ripping your hair out. And it all depends on... wait a minute, what was that line again? Oh, right. It's a hell of a lot easier to kill a guy if they didn't even know you were there. The main aim of the game here is to try to get as close to the Northstar as you possibly can before they can do too much damage. Unfortunately, achieving this can be very hard in a 1v1 because Northstar has so many tools to stuff you back in the barrel. For starters, the railgun. Even with sword block, fully charged shots will still do decent chip damage. However, the real danger that comes from the railgun is the ability to stop your dash momentum when you get hit. Dashes are so important in this matchup as a Ronin, and getting one cancelled is like getting shot in the knee. Next is tether traps. It's pretty obvious that if you get stuck by one and have no means of destroying it, or you don't have a phase dash ready, Northstar is free to get some cluster damage off and to keep shooting you repeatedly. They're also free to get some extra distance away from you if needed. And finally, there's hover. If you throw an arc wave, chances are a good Northstar will be able to react and hover away to avoid getting hit. And yeah, wait a minute, I feel like I'm forgetting something. Oh yeah, Northstar is also a Strider chassis, which means she's got those 2 dashes by default. Which, in reality, it's probably going to be 3 dashes since overcore is less valuable on Northstar for most of the time. So, what do? Well, if you do manage to get in a killing distance and avoid all of her counters, she's a pretty easy kill. especially if you hit a fat arc wave so that she isn't able to run away. Otherwise, focus on blocking her shots, looking for her tether traps, and honestly just pray that the Northstar makes a stupid mistake. I know how deceptively simple this section may sound, but Northstar suffers from the sniper problem. If you're in her sightline, your best bet is to just run away. It's boring, it's unfun to play against, but at the end of the day, that's just how it is. Focus on your positioning and hope that they'll let their guard down. My final piece of advice is sword core. If you're close to popping one, make sure you save either an arc wave or an E-smoke to destroy a tether trap if needed, or a phase dash to escape. There were countless times where I had a Northstar dead in my sights, but because I got trapped by an unexpected tether at the last second, I failed to get the kill and wasted my core in the process. Ah yes, the fabled mirror matchup. Now, contrary to popular belief, a Ronin 1v1 isn't simply just a melee battle to the death. Instead, it's a battle of mental fortitude and whether or not you have the skills to out-punish the enemy. When you're face to face with a Ronin, the most important things you need to keep track of are when the Ronin blocks, the amount of ammo they have, and phase dash. Okay, well, actually, you need to keep track of everything. Again, Ronin v Ronin is all about the punishment game. You can't afford to be too passive, because then you'll just get shot down or meleeed, and you can't afford to be too aggressive, because that leaves you wide open. You need to analyze your opponent and learn to strike for those opportunities. Some things to know. You usually want to save your phase dash for a free reload. While you're reloading, your only real means of retaliation are melees and arc waves. So if you can reload while phasing, you can minimize a lot of the risk. And I talked about arc waves earlier, and actually, this next piece of advice kind of applies to all Titans, but don't just raw dog your arc waves out for damage. Not only does it leave you wide open, the recovery time is decently long, so again, you're missing out on potential shotgun damage or sword blocking. Instead, here are two smarter ways to use them. First is the arc wave in and out of cover. Pretty simple. You hold an arc wave around a corner, you use one dash out, arc wave, and then you dash back to said corner, all in rapid succession. While this does burn out your dashes, this can be an option if neither Ronins are willing to push up, but are in distance for a juicy arc wave. And secondly, arguably the most impactful way you should use them, is to deny the Ronin chase after you reload. If the enemy Ronin knows you're reloading, chances are they're gonna chase you. And while you can block their shotgun shots, you won't be able to punish them with a meat shot should they choose to melee pressure you instead. So what you can do is preemptively arc wave in their direction before they have a chance to move up on you. This will effectively kill a push and should gain you the extra distance needed to reload safely. And then there's melee boxing. If you didn't know, you can effectively stall somebody out of their melee range forever if you manage to hit your melee before they can. If done correctly, you can basically combo somebody to death without them ever touching you. This becomes really important in Sword Core, so pay attention. If the Ronin tries to melee pin you, you have three options. You can swing around in a circular motion around your opponent to keep hitting a different body part, you can back up and re-engage with a charged arc wave, or if you're already getting boxed, you can intentionally wait for the enemy melee to connect, and then connect yours right after for a guaranteed hit. 9 times out of 10, you'll be eating the average Tone for breakfast. Pretty much your entire kit revolves around screwing her over, and if the Tone has no idea what they're doing, yeah, it's usually a free kill. Your block can readily mitigate her rockets, you can phase dash to remove a full lock-on, and your arc wave can fully destroy a particle wall once it hits. However, despite this, Tone still can easily destroy you if you happen to play sloppily. So here's what you should look out for. Don't let the Tone get the high ground. If your arc wave cannot reach the particle wall, this fight actually does become quite a bit harder, since you'll need to go around or melee through the shield in order to do damage. Number 2. Watch for when the Tone tries to punish you with a barrage. You're most vulnerable when you're shooting your lead wall or when you're arc waving, so just be mindful if they decide to let loose on you. And finally, number 3. This is more of an advanced technique that you'll most likely never see, but is helpful to know anyways. When a Tone salvo cores, you can usually block it. However, smart Tones will let some of the missiles hit and actually redirect the missiles back up midway in order to bring them back later. This delay can catch some people off guard, and as a result, you'll be taking some decent damage. Other than that, keep a track of a Tone's locks, phase dash to reload, or to remove full locks, and make sure to block for those big bursts of damage. Despite being the slowest Titan in the game, Legion more than makes up for it by being the best punished Titan in the game. With 100 bullets and a power shot, if you're facing a Legion head on, even all that blocking is going to help you with the hail of bullets coming your way. So what do? Well, to start, make sure the Legion isn't posted up in an open area or on high ground. Cover is a big part of this matchup since Legion isn't really going to be chasing you at any point. He's slow enough as it is, so his best bet for beating you is staying back and looking for opportunities to chip you down, which is why you gotta play the harassment game. Play close, but not too close. Take down his gun shield with Arc Wave, phase and smoke through him when he's got his gun revved up, and pepper him with lead wall shots until he eventually bites the big one. Legion isn't completely useless though, and there are signs of when a Legion knows what he's doing. One of these skills is stalling. Most Legion's instinct is to just open fire and hit every single button when a Ronin approaches. However, what you want to do is to draw out your abilities for as long as you can. Legions can do this by tap firing the Predator Cannon to save ammo and only holding down the button to when you're not blocking to maximize damage. Saving power shots for specific punishment opportunities like an Arc Wave, and popping gun shield only when a Ronin starts shooting or to bait out an Arc Wave, which by the way, Legions who are fast enough to react can look straight up to avoid their shield being taken out by Arc Waves. And next is the dash power shot. It's a rather simple technique, but if you're not holding down your sword block 24/7, a Legion being able to power shot around a corner without you being able to react to it is diabolical. Now I want to talk about a mechanic that maybe I should have talked about earlier, but I honestly think this affects this matchup the most. Sword Pierce. Sword Pierce is an intended game feature that wasn't finished or scrapped by Respawn, and so it was left in the game files, and as the name suggests, it basically lets you pierce sword block in different spots and angles. Unfortunately for Ronins, it's very consistent with hit scan bullets, aka the Predator Cannon. I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty of it because I'm honestly just too lazy to explain all of it, but basically, Legion has the ability to pierce about 50% of your block by just firing in certain spots. I'll leave a link to the video that showcases the pierce spots, but yeah, it's just something to keep in mind as you're fighting a Legion. This is one of the few situations where I'll say that yes, Monarch is indeed overpowered, just in this specific matchup. So let's break it down. Problem number 1. Monarch has the Exo 16, which is a hit scan primary. And well, we just talked about sword piercing, so, you know, that's cool. Problem number 2. Energy Siphon. An ability that allows Monarch to sustain herself, and when it hits you, it slows you down and disorientates you. As a Titan, it's all about getting up close and personal. This is pretty bad. And all of this combos into problem number 3. Rearm. Rearm is an ability that refreshes the rest of Monarch's abilities, which includes dashes. And so if you're running a turbo engine Monarch, you basically have 4 dashes, which puts you around the top when it comes to mobility. And with her Energy Siphon being able to slow you down and gain shields for herself, she outdamages, outranges, and outsustains you pretty easily. So what can you do? Well, to be honest, a Monarch with a decent knowledge of positioning is such a mountain to climb. But here's the thing. You deal burst damage, she deals sustained damage, which means that you gotta minimize running right into her as much as you can. But then again, the problem is that the longer you keep a Monarch alive, the more powerful she's gonna get. So place that close range cover to the max. Lead her with Arc Waves, make her chase you, whatever you do, make sure you're controlling when and where the fight happens. Because once she starts getting those cores, it's over. So yeah, those are all the Titans in Titanfall 2, and if you're a Ronin main or you're just picking him up for the first time, I hope you learned something new. Remember to like, subscribe, join the Discord in the description, all that good stuff. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.